Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of BrainScratch Searchlight. I'm your host John Lorden, and I have to say that 2017 is really kicking off in terms of Searchlight cases. I've been contacted by many of you out there with several cases that are all happening within the past few weeks. I don't know if it's just that my audience is finally growing to a size where I'm hearing of these things a bit quicker than before, or if there's something strange going on in terms of the start of the year where there is some, some type of statistical thing where there's a bump in these cases. But I literally have more cases right now than I can cover week to week. So it's been a little tough going through them. Just know that if you have sent me some case suggestions, I'm looking at them all. I'm trying to pick ones where it feels like we might be able to help the most. And sometimes that is by talking about the different news coverage that has happened around something and discrepancies that's going on within that news coverage. In today's particular case, I really have some questions about some things that the family is saying in this case, and are they really going about it in the best way that they could be, which is tough because you know that these are people that are hurting. Of course, they're trying to do their best, but there's really some big questions that I'm going to put to you guys by the end of this video. Let's jump right in. This is the case of Toni Anderson. Here we have the poster, her missing poster. We can see she's missing from Kansas City, Missouri, and has been missing since January 16th of 2017. She is 20 years old, between 5'4" and 5'5". She weighs approximately 140 pounds, blonde hair, green eyes. She went missing at approximately, they say 3 a.m., but we're going to see from the information that she is pretty well tracked until a bit after that, until about 4:30 or so in the morning. She told a friend she was getting pulled over, but initially the police could find no record of Toni being pulled over. Police have since determined that she had been pulled over on Sunday morning. She was last known to be driving her black 2014 Ford Focus with Kansas license plate 989GAX, and there's a picture of it below. That car is still missing, which is certainly a big part of the mystery in this case. They have contact information, which I will copy down below, and her family has also noted that people can call Crimestoppers as well, so I've added a number for Crimestoppers below also. So let's get some of the basics of the story. Jumping over to KSHB.com, we can see Anderson was pulled over by North Kansas City police around 4:25 a.m. near the Quick Trip at 2525 Burlington Street for an illegal lane change. Now, I have seen some conflicting information, but most information seems to support that this is the proper location for the Quick Trip. I guess there is another one in town, and some people were thinking that it was that one that she had disappeared from, or that she was last seen at. But I've seen at least 3 or 4 different sources that say this is the address, including one that actually got footage from a store across the way from this that witnessed her being pulled over and then her going to that gas station. So it's fairly certain this is the correct address. She was a server at a adult entertainment club called Chrome. This is a picture of it right here. Police say she was alone when she was pulled over, and they watched her pull into Quick Trip to pump gas. Like I mentioned, the footage that we're going to take a brief look at certainly supports that. And here we have a very brief timeline of the events. 4:05 a.m., according to KCPD, she left work. Friends say from the Chrome nightclub in Kansas City, Missouri. At 4:25 a.m., she was pulled over for an illegal lane change. He only wrote her a warning and then told her about the gas station. She said she was low on gas, so he told her there was a Quick Trip nearby, and she pulled right into it. 4:33 a.m., according to her family's bank records, she had a declined transaction at an unknown Quick Trip. I've seen this reported a couple different ways. Sometimes it's 1 transaction, sometimes it's 2, but basically she's trying to use her ATM card to pull out some money, and it will not let her. 4:42 a.m., Anderson sent last text to friends saying, "OMG, just pulled over again." Now this is leaving a lot of us with a big question. Does she mean that she was pulled over again after she was pulled over earlier this night? Early reports on this case seem to allude to the fact that she was always getting pulled over, so this might have just been about that one instance. But if we look at the time frame here, We're not exactly sure that it is about that one instance, especially with her stating that she got pulled over again. But we don't know the context of the conversation between her and her friend. She might have been talking to her friend earlier about that week about her being pulled over. So it's still kind of hard to tell, but it does leave us with a question. 4:53 a.m., Anderson received last incoming text from an unidentified number. That is literally all I've heard about that point. I have not found any other information sources that even mention that text, let alone who it came from or what it stated. KCPD is not releasing dash cam footage from the stop because of the ongoing investigation. Same is true regarding security cam footage from Quick Trip. Now, this is the first point that gives me a little bit of pause. It's very strange to me that we live in the same country, but different police departments handle these things extremely differently. In many cases, police departments will release footage of the last time a person has been seen when they go missing. I don't know what the trigger for that is. I doubt that it's the same trigger across all of our separate police departments. This is part of the reason why I wonder if our infrastructure for police departments is not proper in this country, if there should be some type of roll-up so that processes can kind of be figured out and best practices can be handed to other police departments. It's just very strange to me. We have a missing person. You want to put out accurate information about how she looked at the time she went missing. The best thing to do that is footage. Why you wouldn't release the footage from either the dash cam or from the gas station really doesn't make sense to me unless there was something in particular contained within that footage that might hurt a investigation or some type of subsequent charges that were going to come from this investigation. Which, if this is a simple missing persons case where the officer is not involved, I do not understand why that footage would be held on to. It really doesn't make sense to me. In particular, the footage from the gas station, because there you're likely to see her walking around. We could note what she's wearing. We could see what direction she drove off in. That might be helpful for people that are living in the area and trying to look for her or find her, but police are not giving us those details. Back near the top of this article, there's one more note that her father, Brian Anderson, is also asking businesses to check their surveillance footage if they're on Toni's route from her home on Grandview Boulevard to the Quick Trip on Burlington. He says she would have been on the road between 4:50 and 5:15 a.m. This is another thing that just I find somewhat frustrating. To ask businesses to review their surveillance footage, especially if you're doing it just through news sources or something like that, is probably not a very strong move. And I do think that there is huge value in checking those sources. But to encourage people to do that, I think you really have to go to those locations. You have to ask those people up front. And quite honestly, you're going to bump into situations with certain businesses where they are not going to release that information to the public in general. Some of them just have standing policies. That is proprietary company information. You can't just go in and ask for it. Smaller businesses, family-owned businesses, you probably have a better bet of getting them to at least look at the footage and possibly give it to a person or a private entity, I guess you could say, someone that's related to the case. I even question the effectiveness of private investigators here, but I don't think it could hurt to have a PI try to trace the locations that she had gone to and then look at footage from those locations and try to follow her route, contact those other businesses, and see if they could check the footage. You would hope that police are already doing something like this. I can tell you, after all the cases that I've reviewed on this show, I am not certain that that always happens. And what really scares me is the thought of losing the footage, because many of these businesses have the footage be automatically overwritten after a certain time interval, depending on if they're using hard drives or tapes. Sometimes it's tapes that are literally swapped in, and there's just one tape for every day of the month. And then by the time you get to the next month, you're erasing that information. Hard drives, I imagine the retention might be a little better, it might be a little bit longer, but still at some point that memory is going to get overwritten. If police do not get to those locations, or investigators I should say, do not get to those locations to request that information soon enough, there's a very good chance that a critical piece of information that could help them will actually disappear. Jumping over to FOX4KC.com, we learn a little bit more about Toni. Anderson was working at a place called Chrome, an adult entertainment club. As usual, the manager and a security guard at Chrome walked Toni to her car after her work shift, making sure no one followed her out. The last thing they saw was her car driving away. She was working there as a server, going by the nickname Vanity, and she had been working there off and on for 3 years. They say that Toni never drank or partied and was looking forward to starting school at UMKC on Tuesday. Sources say when Toni left Chrome, she had plans to meet with friends at Shady Lady, a strip club on the east side of Kansas City. And here we're going to see where things are a little strange again. I have a map that I have pulled up of this area and of the places that she was supposedly going to. Here is Chrome, where she worked. Here is the Shady Lady, which if she was leaving Chrome to go there, she could have been there very quickly. Instead, she gets pulled over somewhere around here and then goes into this quick trip that is far, far north from her original location. And that also doesn't account for the fact that she lives over here kind of on the west side. So for some reason, there's some bad information floating out around what she was intending to do. She might have told people she was going to the Shady Lady, but indeed her actions show that she was doing something else. She had come up north for some reason, and that something else was not going home. She was obviously on a trip. Someone on one of the articles alludes to the fact that maybe that's the only gas station she knew about. I kind of find that hard to believe, considering it's not even really on her route home. She had to cross the Missouri River at one point to go there. And even about the story about her going to the Shady Lady, if we look at Yelp, this is the Yelp page for Chrome, we can see that they are open every night until about 3 a.m. And apparently she left at 4, which for a server might make sense because she probably had some closing duties, maybe had some cleaning up to do after hours, and then that was the end of her shift and she could leave. But for her to go to Shady Lady raises a bit of a question because they operate on the same schedule. They are open until only 3 a.m. every night. We know that she didn't leave until 4. So if she was going to the Shady Lady, she wasn't going as a regular customer. She might have been going to meet up with friends there. Maybe they were going to let her in. Maybe there was some kind of after hours party going on there or something. I'm not sure, but we know that the intent doesn't seem to line up with this Shady Lady story at all because she went far north of there. This same FOX4KC.com article, they did a bit of good footwork and they were able to get some footage from a business across the street from the Quick Trip, and they saw her going in to get gas, and then they actually saw her car leaving the Quick Trip after. They state in this interview with the person that's reviewing the footage, they don't say what business it is, but they do state that when she left, she still appeared to be alone in her vehicle when she left that area. Jumping over to KWCH.com, here we see a Facebook post about her missing. Basically all the same information that we have covered before, but they have a different number here for Crimestoppers, which I've already told you I'm including below. This article does note that Kansas City police are working to get surveillance footage from the gas station that Toni was going to. And this article also notes that her family tells us they're trying to get the insurance company to release the tracking data from a GPS device that was in her car to police. Her father, Toni Anderson, says they submitted the request on Monday, so it's frustrating that it hasn't happened yet. It's a simple device installed in the vehicle, Anderson said. It constantly emits a signal, so we're kind of dumbfounded that it's now 48 hours later and they still don't have access to that information. We don't understand. It's after multiple contacts by ourselves and the police department. Now, this GPS tracker that's in her car is a big, interesting point in this whole case. I have read so many different stories about this GPS device. I've read one where the police are saying the GPS device doesn't help them at all. One where it said it actually only tracked speed, it didn't track location, which does not make any sense to me because even if they are tracking speed, it is based on GPS location, most likely for a device that would be used by an insurance company. Another story says that they have information that they're just not releasing to the public about what those GPS details are, despite those other comments that I told you about. And another piece of information says that they have actually commented that the GPS turns off as soon as she leaves the parking lot of the gas station, which is strange, but might make sense if she was going somewhere where she did not want to be tracked for some reason. These type of devices, I looked into them a little bit, and I actually, when I got insurance when I moved out here, they kind of offered something like that to me as well. Some of them literally just plug into your power adapter, your cigarette port, basically, your cigarette lighter port, sorry, in your car. So they are extremely easy to pull out. It's not like it's a GPS device that is, hidden under the hood of your car or somewhere on the undercarriage or something like that. It is a very easy plug-in, pull-out type device. So there's a couple of different things that come to mind. If someone did possibly get into the car with her at the gas station, they might have saw the device and had her pull it out. And like I mentioned when we were talking about that footage, I'm not certain that you could tell from the type of footage that we were looking at if she was alone in the car or not. Someone could have been laying down in the back seat. There's a lot of questions that I have about that. If the footage was from the gas station, we would certainly be able to clear that up, because I'm sure her car was likely captured by some surveillance there the whole time it was on the gas station lot, and we could probably see if someone else got into it at some point, but honestly, that's all speculation right now. So lot of crisscrossing stories about this GPS device. I really don't know what to make out of it, but if that comment that I've read is true, the police are stating that the data was no good because it's just tracking speed, I think they should go back to the company and ask them for the source data for that report, which would likely have location device information. This is a very strange comment in this article, and you almost have to read this article from the bottom up because they're updating it from day to day and just tacking it to the top. But they're saying on their Wednesday evening update, Kansas City police aren't releasing much information on the search for Toni Anderson, saying they don't want to compromise the investigation. Police did say there is no sign of foul play at this point, meaning there is no active search. I don't know who's saying there is no active search. The information that we're hearing from her family, they seem to think the police are searching and that they're searching diligently. So I don't know if this is just a bit of a misprint on this article's part, but I can tell you other articles are quoting that specific line. So if it is a misprint, it's very unfortunate, because that news is passing around that there is basically no active search because they think that she might have disappeared of her own accord. Police say, like any other missing person case, it's possible Toni decided to leave town on her own. Her friends and family say that's not like her. I hear that in practically every case that I investigate, and I have to say, we're just over a year of BrainScratch searchlights now, so that's definitely over 50 cases we've looked into. That truth, even though I've heard it probably 50 times, only came true in one of those cases. So as often as that's used by police, I really think it is overused. Now here we go, so it's pretty much countering that point below about there being no active search. On their latest update, which looks like it was posted on January 17th, Brian Anderson, Toni's father, says there's been an active search for Toni, now missing for a week. He says the effort has included an aerial search around the river, embankments, wooded areas, and near her last known location in North Kansas City. Quote, "We continue to appreciate all of the support from the media, the hard work of the Kansas City police detectives they're putting into this," Brian Anderson says. "The love and prayers that are coming from literally all over the country and around the world at this point. We just want to continue to make sure we've got to keep her story out there, that people keep their eyes peeled, and if they see something, please contact the police department or call Crimestoppers." They also had a candlelight vigil at Wichita's Risen Savior Lutheran Church, where many of Toni's friends gathered around. So, the family seems to be doing everything they can, but they're definitely in what I would consider a little bit of a honeymoon phase with the police department. I've spoken about this many, many times. I can tell you, 1 month from now, if she has not been found, they are not going to feel like they feel about the police at this point. It's obvious someone is telling them that the police are actively working on this, that they're doing everything they can, and that they are believing that that is a normal part of this process. And in 30 days after the abduction, maybe 30 to 45 days, they will probably see a significant turn in that. And it's unfortunate, but it happens in practically every case that I've reviewed. So it hurts me a little bit when I look into this case and I see decisions that the family is making based on this information that the police are working this case in every way they can. One of those big decisions is hiring a private investigator. There's a little bit of controversy around this because basically her boyfriend of 2 years kicked up a GoFundMe campaign. Originally, he said it was to raise funds to hire a private investigator. Then when they hit that mark and it started making more, he said, well, we're also going to collect money to help the family. Then it started getting even more money, and they said, we're also going to use it as a reward for tips or information that lead to finding her. Some people were upset about the boyfriend handling that. He has a bit of a past. We'll get into that here in a little bit. So the family took over the GoFundMe, and the father came out and immediately said, we are not going to hire a private investigator. Now, I have seen cases where private investigators do not do very well for the people they're working for, but I've also seen cases where it seems like they do. If you have the resources to hire them, I would say hire them. And especially you're talking about a GoFundMe campaign that was started on the pretense of trying to find this girl, and specifically, like it's literally in the link, in the name of the link, hire a private investigator. It seems a little off to me. I don't know why the father has taken this hard line against that move, but once again, when you talk about this trail is going to decompose, it's going to go cold. Aspects of information that a private investigator is going to go looking for, they're going to become much harder to dig up. And when you couple that up with the fact of them ending what I consider this honeymoon phase with believing that the police are really kicking butt doing this great job, even though they haven't found her or found her car yet, they're going to get to a point within a month or two where they're going to say, hey, you know, we really should probably hire a private investigator, and that guy is going to be possibly 2 months behind in terms of trying to find information, and he might not be able to gain information because of, like I said, video systems overriding themselves and other things like that. So it's really unfortunate to me. I don't know why her father in particular is taking that stance. I really wish that he would reconsider that and that they would pull all the resources they can to try to get all the help that they can at this time. I do know some police officers seem to comment that private investigators can sometimes get in their way. This is a missing persons case. I don't understand how it could hurt to have someone going out there knocking on doors, trying to gain additional insight into, hey, where did this girl go? It's just another pair of eyes, ears, another brain, and usually these PIs can be experienced and be able to put some things together that the police department doesn't always have the resources or the focus to be able to do. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's probably one of the things that upset me the most about when I was reviewing this case was seeing that her father is taking this hard stance, despite the fact that the GoFundMe hit its goal. They have plenty of money to do this. Why not take that additional help? I really have no idea. Just another note over at comicbook.com, who also wrote an article on this, that GPS device that I was telling you about would apparently send a ping out every 8 to 10 seconds for insurance reasons. This article also notes that it sent out its last ping at the gas station where her debit card was declined. 8 to 10 seconds sounds about right. I think it possibly might even be more often than that, particularly if they're using the GPS data to track her speed, unless that is happening at the device and then being transmitted or uploaded every 8 to 10 seconds for the servers to pick it up. But at least 8 to 10 seconds certainly makes sense. And jumping over to Heavy.com, who's doing a really good job on missing persons cases and writing these articles, these 5 facts you need to know. Here they actually show a screenshot of the last text message that was sent to her friend. OMG, just pulled over again. We get another shot of Chrome Nightclub. It looks like they have actually put a poster about her missing up on the front gate there. And they have a note that her cell phone was connected to the T-Mobile network until about 9:30 on Sunday night, when it went dark. And that's another thing about this case. I have not seen a lot of information about her cell phone, about trying to trace those pings as well. If this is accurate and it was on for literally the whole day after she went missing, that could be some significant data and certainly help narrow at least the search area, if nothing else, but also potentially could tell them the path that she had traveled after she left the gas station. They do have a little bit of a comment here. Police said that they are doing a data dump of Anderson's phone to try to find out who she was communicating with before it went dead. Attempts to ping it have not been successful, police said. That would certainly make sense if the battery ran out the following day, which it seems like it did. I don't know why you would try to ping it at that point. I would just try to get the records from T-Mobile about where it did ping when it was active. They also note here at Heavy.com that she had also worked as a concert promoter and a writer for EDM websites. And if you look at her Twitter account, you can certainly see some information around that. They have a post here from her Twitter account showing an EDM event and mentioning that High Tech Productions is a company that she had worked with, and they're tweeting out that their friend Toni is missing and asking for help. And then we get to the information about the boyfriend starting the GoFundMe page. So who is this boyfriend? If we jump over to Kansas.com, we get a little bit of information. His name is Pete Sanchez. Sanchez and Toni have been dating for 2 years. Here's a quote from him. "I don't think I can cry anymore. It just doesn't feel real. I don't sleep. I'm brainstorming. What can I do to better the situation?" From some other research I've done, apparently they moved together from Wichita out to this area. Like this says, they've been together for a couple years now. I believe they were living together. There is some mention that he wouldn't typically stay up for her because she worked so late into the night, and that sometimes she would go out with her friends, so he wouldn't even necessarily expect her to come home before he would wake up. He also points out in this article that I know some media outlets are trying to make her out like an exotic dancer, but unfortunately his quote really doesn't go on from there. I think he's just trying to point out that she was just a server at the Gentlemen's Club, which is a very different type of job, admittedly, but it does still put you in that element where, particularly if you're worried about people stalking you, it increases your risk for that. I wouldn't say that it guarantees that kind of thing's going to happen to you, but it certainly can increase some risk around there. If we head over to the GoFundMe page, we can see they have met $10,440 of their $8,000 goal. They did that just in 6 days. What's really interesting about this is, first of all, you can see the description that they were originally intending to hire a private investigator and then putting a reward together. But in the comments, people are really saying some bad things about her boyfriend. Here's one: "I would not trust her boyfriend. He has a criminal history. Here's his wiki with all the details." I did pull that up just to take a look at it. It essentially says that he has been wanted by authorities for unlawful possession of controlled substances. He's been addicted to bath salts. A person who knows Pete said that he does not trust him and has robbed multiple acquaintances for drugs. He once held his best friend at knife point for an ounce of MDMA. I don't know anything about this Everipedia.com website, so I don't know if any of this information is solid, but I did just want to point out what commenters are saying about him. There's multiple comments in here. One is even saying, "Stop donating to this. It's not going towards anyone or anything but Pete Sanchez." I can tell you, according to official news articles I've seen, that is no longer the case. This money is indeed going to her parents. Heading back over to Kansas.com for a more recent article from the Wichita Eagle. This is from January 23rd, 2017. It's talking about the fact that her family is still searching for her. But there's one note in here from her mother. Liz Anderson said Monday that the family has been instructed by police to not talk about the case as an investigation into her daughter's disappearance continues. That is very strange to me. I have certainly seen cases where parents of missing people are told to not comment on some specific thing. But to have a statement like she's been instructed by police to not talk about the case as a whole, That does not make any sense to me at all. Once again, I hope this is some kind of misquote or misunderstanding, either on her part or the person that wrote up this article. But when someone goes missing, particularly if the police think there is no foul play, how are they going to be found if it isn't for some help coming from the public? And how do you make the public aware of that? You have to keep eyes on this story. You have to keep people aware of this case. You have to get it in front of people and show a picture of her so they know what she looks like. Why would police tell a mother to not talk about this case? I do not know. But I have a possible potential theory. There are a lot of articles going on Reddit, several articles just about her. In one of those threads, I did find some information. And once again, I can't say that this is accurate or not, but here is someone that is saying she is actually a prostitute. You can find her on a site called Seeking Arrangement, and they've included an image link to her profile. Here is a picture of the picture. Now, once again, it would be easy enough to fake something like this. I don't know this website, and I can tell you that we do know she was going by the name Vanity when she was working at Chrome. So I don't know how accurate this is, but it is possible that she was doing some type of business where she was meeting up with people for some level of companionship. We also have another comment from someone in here that's saying that she is actually a stripper in Kansas City, and he hopes her disappearance has nothing to do with any of the clients that creeped her out. There was one in particular that she told me about. It's just a freaky situation. Once again, I have to put this out with a huge note of caution. I don't know if these are true. Even if you went to that website and found the profile, at this point it could be created by someone else. I have no idea. But it is what some people are talking about in threads about this case. That might make sense if police have some idea about where she went, if she was meeting up with someone else. That might be some reason why they would make that type of comment to her mother about not to comment on this. I don't know. That's the only thing that I could kind of put together in terms of why police are being so secretive around this case. Outside of obvious things, which people are also talking about on Reddit, like, is there some potential that a police officer was involved here? Is there some potential that someone is driving around acting like a police officer? And according to Facebook, apparently there is someone that's doing that. Even in one of these Reddit threads, they have pictures of someone driving around parking lots with a car that has spotlights mounted on it, and they think that he is impersonating a police officer. There are a lot of different theories kicking around here, including even one that's kind of seems like it's coming from the Sherry Papini story of, is this all fraudulent? Is her car just in a garage somewhere and she's hiding out while her boyfriend racks up this money on GoFundMe to help them pay for something? I mean, obviously, it does appear like she was having some type of money trouble if she went to the ATM and couldn't pull cash out. Why would she need cash just after serving drinks at a nightclub where I would like to think that she would be getting tipped? I really don't know. A lot of questions around this case, but there is no question that this is a young woman that deserves to be found, deserves to have her shot at life. She was getting ready to, I don't know if she was continuing school consistently or going back to school, but apparently she was starting classes the following Tuesday and now missed that as well. Is there some potential she left on her own accord? I certainly think there is. Does that mean that we shouldn't be looking for her? I don't think so, because you have a lot of people that care about this girl and want to know if she's okay. Even if she wants to disappear from her life, I do believe that just finding the information that she's out there somewhere and she's doing fine would at least help put her parents to rest. But a lot of strangeness in this case. What do you guys think? This is where I hand it over to you. Please use the links below. Dig into it for yourself. There is a lot of media around this case. If you start looking into all the different stories, you'll probably find even more discrepancies than I did. But just know this thing is being told a lot of different ways by a lot of different sources. And just once again, I'm hopeful that her family will come around on that thought about the private investigator. I do believe there are good PIs out there. I do believe that a PI could potentially help in this case. Outside of that, what could have happened to her? it's an open book. There is just every opportunity. With as little as we know about where she went, we see her leave a gas station, and from there, and we already know she's on a path that doesn't make sense. She's not heading home. She's not going where she told people she was going to go. She was going somewhere else, and that puts a giant question mark in this case. Please use the comments below to discuss this case. As usual, I will ask you guys, please be respectful. If you have friends around this area, please share this video with them. Let's get this exposure out there, and let's see if someone out there has the missing piece that can help bring Toni home. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here on Searchlight. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next show on the Lord and Arts channel.